Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
And just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
You know, I just noticed something that is interesting about the that intro there, because I was thinking, oh shit, we kind of mentioned about having some kind of guest or something like that, but conjuring the essence of interesting people. What if that's just us pretending to be interesting people?
That's pretty much the basis of this show.
Can we pretend like that's why we did it that way?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm in. Fuck it then.
That's why we did it that way. What are you talking about? That is exactly why we did it that way.
Yeah.
We don't always have guests on the show, but we conjure their essence as well as everybody that's cool in the whole entire world's essence. And
just bring it all in. Okay, no, I like that. I like that. And I was gonna make a super comic booky reference, but I don't think anybody would understand that one. So I'm just gonna say, you know what? We'll cut all this out. That people will never know.
Comic books, man. You were like into comic books growing up, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've read shitloads of Marvel comics. Like,
Right.
I know so much of that like world and lore like in and out, and it's constantly growing. And yeah, no, I mean, there are very few people that I've met, like, just, you know, not at like a Comic-Con or something
Right.
specifically about that
That
have
has that
been able
much.
to like keep up with me on this kind of stuff.
Interesting.
It's you know, I don't know if it's something to brag about, but
Hey,
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Say I was into this shit before it was cool.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I mean, I was definitely into comics, but I didn't really read them. I was into collecting them because it was cool to just go and, you know, and it was only for like certain periods of time, like when I got into them. That's just how I've always been. Like, I've never been like constantly on one thing forever. I kind of hop from hobby to hobby and just like ride out whatever burst of passion I get for that sort of thing. And so I would collect like toys and stuff. I liked a lot of toys, and I liked the idea of the comics and everything, but I didn't really like read, especially when it got into so many different things. Like, you know, like your Guardians of the Galaxy, I would have never even known that was a comic.
Well,
until it came out.
That's
into the
completely
movies.
understandable. They were like fucking D-list, like they were really scraping the bottom of the barrel with
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they just turned it into this gigantic
Right.
thing where it was really nobody before. You
But-
know, I
yeah.
mean, who could you name really before the Iron Man? Like, I mean, really, did people in general know?
You
who
might
Iron
know
Man
who they
was?
were, but you definitely didn't have a story that way, and you didn't have like really the interest in finding out who Iron Man was. You're like, okay, that's just like a fucking robot. You know, you really had to paint that picture and make it, you know, kind of
Understanding the nuance, like
Right.
the depth at which these characters are written.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
And that, like, there was so much of it that was, you know, before then. I would say from let's see, I know I started reading comics and getting into them. Like, you could see me like as Spider-Man at like 6 years old or something, and I want to say it was around there, but it was kind of like a superficial, you know, oh, little kids like comics, that's like a thing we're supposed to do. And then having like you know, like an X-Men video game or some shit like that, you know, just all of that stuff tying in and understanding the world through that, and seeing the cartoons of it and stuff like that. And then I want to say it was about, probably it died out about, you know, 12 or something like that. But I'm like, oh, that's just not cool.
Yeah.
And then as I like started to like bring it back around like 15 or 16, when I was like, wait, why the fuck am I so worried about being cool? I discovered that you can actually torrent comics. And so from there, I just started just diving in and going, okay, like, what's all the cool ones, and like looking stuff up and just downloading those, and then being able to read comics like that too.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And so that's how I kind of really, you know, got into it. Plus, there's all the supplementary, you know, media that goes along with it. There's been tons of video games that are about, you know, Marvel characters and stuff like that, TV shows and movies. And so all that together kind of paints a picture.
Right.
And I was always like, okay, if I didn't know something, like I didn't know who somebody was, or I didn't know like a detail, or like, oh, who do they mean when they say that? You know, I would look it up.
Wow.
I would go, okay, so this is.
So you were a
this
fucking nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing's changed, really.
Yeah.
I treat a lot of things that way. But that was probably one of the first ones that I ever like was like, okay, this needs to go there and that's there. Okay.
I think it's cooler than ever to be a nerd right now, though.
Oh,
obviously.
100%.
Yeah, it's definitely cool because like, and it's not like something to be, to hide behind. People are less and less becoming like ashamed of it, and just embracing whatever interests that spark their
Well,
their
it's mainstream
fancy.
now.
Yeah,
Completely.
I mean, I've gone back and I've kind of just said fuck that to all of pretty much caring about what anybody else thinks about what I like, and so I've been watching way too many cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
And and getting into comics myself too,
Dude,
and
there
like
are great cartoons out there.
yeah. But in comics though, I mean, there are some fucking like I'm just now realizing like how big the world of graphic novels are outside of superheroes.
Yeah, outside of Marvel and DC,
Outside
there's
of-
tons of really cool stuff.
Yeah, like there's the I'm reading Mobius right now. So Jardowski and Mobius, and it's the Incal.
Which you've talked about before, yeah.
Yeah, and I read The World of Adina, which was a series of different comics that he'd come out with, and it's like French. Mobius was sort of Jean Girard, not to be mistaken with what's it called, Jean Girard from Talladega Nights. Most people, every time I say that, Jean Girard,
okay.
they're like, they always go and this like, they make some reference from that show, and it's not him.
Can I also just double down on my nerd cred here? And I says like Jean Valjean? Is that what you mean? Okay.
No,
So yeah.
no. Who's Jean Valjean?
That's a musical theater reference. That's also another
Oh,
nerdy ass shit. That's Les Mis.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen Les Mis. Somebody like scolded me just last week for never have seen that.
Oh, it's
But his comics are fucking dope. And I mean, you start to realize that like most of science fiction stories have like stemmed from these fucking original stories and these concepts that have come out in these books that were like written in the 70s and the 80s,
Yeah.
So many things like Fifth Element, and just design wise, it just really takes you to this other place, and I've been getting just so into them, and it's been pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, those are fucking good. There's a handful of good ones. The one I'm thinking of right now that was actually really cool, which they made into a series, is called Happy. So I didn't read the comic, but I did see the series, and it's like a super. It is kind of okay. It's really comic booky, like the show. It's like a grizzled, just alcoholic, kind of washed out detective, and his daughter gets kidnapped, and his daughter's imaginary friend like comes to him, and like helps him like try to find her and stuff. And so it's this guy walking around just like super hard, like very Sin City-esque,
with
but
this
he's
little
got
tiny ass,
but he's got a
fucking-
flying like donkey unicorn thing that's voiced by Patton Oswalt.
Fuck
named
yes,
Happy.
yes.
And it's pretty fucking
I like
cool,
that
man.
shit. That's cool, and it's a show now. You're saying?
Yeah, it's a show.
It came from a comic book
Yeah.
called
And
Happy. Okay, I have
yeah,
to check
so
that
Brie
out.
put that on, and then she was like, we were looking at like the comic, like some of the panels and the images, like from the comics, like we were looking them up, and then watching the show, we're just like, oh shit, this is really fucking cool. Mm-hmm. So that shit was dope, man.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'm getting more into it, and especially because it's something that will help me, I think, in trying to like at least get the basic idea of what I want out there. It's like the most practical thing for you to try to like get your style and your writing out there, because like I had always wanted to write stories, and writing a book just seems like such a crazy like thing to invest time into with all the other things that I'm doing. And I have all these ideas, I just have too many of them, and I thought like, what if I just made like a graphic novel, a fucking storybook for like whatever little stories I come out with, and then that way you have instead of, because otherwise animation is another thing you want to do, but if you have that, then you have other people to like know what the fuck you're trying to say, and then they can make it happen. They can make like a movie, whether it's a film or a book or a fucking cartoon. You can make it happen, because now like, okay, I see what you're saying. It's just like the next, it's fucking dope.
What I've always liked with that's helped inspire me with creative things is to look outside of the medium that I'm trying to create for.
Right.
So it's like, oh, if I'm looking to create something that's about this, I want to look at stuff that's completely different, like a whole other genre. So like find
what's an
inspiration and stuff
example
like
then?
that.
Like,
and I'm trying to riff an example, because we're just
Right.
shooting the shit. I cannot think of one
I see what you're
right now
saying
off the top of my head. But it's like if you were, like if you were you're stuck, you're a music producer, you're trying to make a song or something like that. Like just sampling, say you're a hip hop artist, like sampling like some fucking opera or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just kind of just looking
Just get
out
abstract,
there to find something.
Yeah, just
that that inspires you, because essentially it's all storytelling. There is one creativity and art is, at a baseline, they all do have at least one thing in common. And so being able to find that and bring it together and wrap all of the essence of all these different things.
It's kind of like
into your
using
work is
a
way to get
pairing
that.
that is not frequently used or probably never used rarely at all. It's just like all of these different things are available now, and like certain things get popular because and then they get worn out, and then now it's time for somebody. Everybody's waiting for something fresh.
I had a lavender and matcha ice cream like a month ago, and that was great. Just weird shit, man.
Yeah. Lavender matcha ice cream.
Yeah.
Was it from fucking Midori matcha or whatever?
No, it was from Salt and Straw in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Because they just opened
that
up.
place is bomb.
They just opened up like this little one over right next to the gallery with it's got like matcha like ice cream and obviously matcha teas and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize how much I liked matcha, but matcha's some good shit.
Dude, yeah, I was on matcha for a good while. I need to like re-up on my tea because I've been just drinking the green teas, the yerba mates. That shit fucking, those will definitely fucking get you going. They got a good amount of caffeine, and it's just so much better than coffee,
Oh, okay.
for your stomach.
I was like going like out a direction, or like, no, energized, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they just have a good amount of caffeine, but it's like, much. It for some reason actually works like coffee. Maybe it's just mentally too, like you get too used to something and it just stops working as much, or you stop feeling that it works as much.
Yeah.
Coffee was just not doing really anything other than fuck my stomach up. So I had to switch over, and I had matcha. I ordered it online, and it was like $35 for this tin that lasted forever. Like it was definitely a good way to go, and it had like these lion's mane mushrooms in them. That shit just made you like ready for the day. You do that on your way to work.
Lion's mane's mushrooms.
It's called lion's mane shroom.
Like, that sounds like some shit I would want to just try.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's not psychedelic whatsoever.
Oh, no, but I mean, like, that just sounds like, oh man, that's just gonna like get me fucking pumped. Just the name
Right?
of it,
Just like you're ready.
just name your breakfast. Like, that can give you a little bit of energy somehow.
Right. Yeah. And it was good. So I got on the matcha thing, and just some places though, I noticed like either put too much sugar, or like they add, they only serve it with like as lattes, and I don't like to get it with milk at all. I just like to get it with just the tea and the water. And yeah. So like you just gotta, I guess depends where you go, because sometimes it could be just, not as good for you as you might think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know nearly enough about it. I just kind of take everybody's word for it. And I go, oh, okay, it's got matcha. That must be good for me.
So this is the guy talking about that had 2 double deckers from Taco Bell earlier too, and fucking
yes. Yeah.
talks about Burger King and eating full boxes of pizzas on the regular. So my health advice,
Probably not
or me paying attention to like what's good about it is not necessarily, it doesn't really mean anything.
At least that you're, it's like you're aware of it, you're conscious,
But that's like the worst thing too.
Decision.
Yeah.
Oh no, that says more about your own like
discipline. It's just
your own self-discipline.
It just got lost somewhere. I used to have such great discipline, and then it just like for some reason it's like nope. I don't know. It's got to be some sort of lesson for me to learn, and for all the people that I like always said like I don't understand how these people can do this or that.
Well, at least you're not one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I have I eat a salad every day. They're like, yeah? They're like, yeah, macaroni salad. Like, no, that's not.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't count.
No, I know what's good and what's bad for you. Like, I know how to go work out, and like, I don't need a trainer or anything like that. The only thing I need is like a mental support trainer, like somebody to just say, hey, it's worth it.
So a trainer.
So yeah,
That's
like
what they do.
basically, but like as far as technique or anything like that goes, but it can't be. Here's the thing with like the reverse psychology. It's like the way that you want to just take something completely opposite. Like my brain just has this thing that's like if a trainer is there doing his job and trying to train me, I don't want to listen to him at all. Like I just don't want to.
So you
fucking...
just totally undid all of that wrestling like mentality.
Basically, it's like I didn't do anything. It just left. It just like was like
It just
poof.
gone.
And yeah, this whole other side just came out. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna go this. I just lost interest. I hop around from thing to thing so much.
Damn.
And I just get into stuff like art. I've only been into really like at the level of what I'm doing for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it was music before then.
Yeah.
And then it was it's been just and then before then like a lot of outdoors. Climbing a lot. hiking all the time, and I'm really glad I get to finally just fucking take off today right after this and go up to Big Sur by
Well,
myself.
let's talk about that, man,
Yeah.
because that's fucking dope. So, what's your plan for today? Why are we doing this so early? Why are we here at this moment on
Fucking
a
up.
Monday? Partially my fault because I'm going to New York tomorrow, but
Well, it worked out. So, I don't get many days off consecutively, at least, to really get to go out and do stuff that I love doing, and living in this world, wanting to do fucking awesome things and doing awesome things with your friends, like you really realize how little free time to yourself that you get, like even when I go off and do all these fun things, I'm usually doing them in a pretty rushed, manner, and I'm usually doing them with other people, and it's great, obviously doing awesome things with other people is always a great time, but you do, or at least I do, I need these little moments where I can go off and just kind of escape and just be by myself to reflect and, just kind of sort a bunch of things out. And it just was awarded to me. I have the long last work week next week. So they switched my schedule. They're like, we're giving you Tuesday and Wednesday off. And today's my normal day off. So I said, let's go in somewhere. And it wasn't even like really a question. It was, where to go. It was just kind of in the back or, corner of my mind. There was just like Big Sur like calling me for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I assumed that that's where I'm going, but I really don't have a set plan. I'm just going to go up after this. We're going to drive up there and, see where I can kind of pull over and fall asleep because, I don't have any sort of reservations for campgrounds or whatnot. I'm just going by myself and just going to wing it. So
that's fucking dope, man. And I know you used to do this a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time you did. And I'm sure for you even it's like, oh man, that Call of the Wild, that Emil Hirsch shit.
Oh, I'm going to go
about?
do some stupid shit. Like, because people won't don't want to take the time. Well, you don't always have the time, too, to really get off and, like, go and be like a little kid in the woods. Like, just go and just find a place out there and just fucking just chill, break some branches, or like, not like destroy shit, but just like, like throw some rocks into some water.
There's some intangible property to all that. That really, I don't know, it resets you, refreshes you. And to me, like, I understand that like a little bit, but I gotta imagine that certain people, maybe it's a sign thing or something like that. But like they, seeing how much it works for you,
right?
That's always cool, man.
Yeah. It's gonna be cool. And then I'm gonna come back and just go right into fucking working a long ass week because we have a special event going on for our private collectors and stuff, and it's like usually a big deal, and it's here this year. And it's cool though because Sunday we're gonna have a brunch with Eric Goldberg, legendary animator for Disney and Warner Brothers and pretty much everything. He'll be there like doing some dope ass shit, so I get to check that out and watch him, and that's always really awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's dope, man. Well, best of luck to you on all that.
Thank you very much. What about you? What are you going to be going? You're going to New York for what?
Yes. Well, I talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm heading up to Midtown Manhattan and going to the Hayden Planetarium.
Okay.
To show off some Starlink, Oh, and we didn't get it to last week because I was gonna say like, oh yeah, Starlink is this this cool game that we're making. It's it's for the Switch and the Xbox, and it's actually it's like a like spaceship fighting stuff.
Okay.
And so you can be in space or you can like go down to a planet, and the combat in it is very, very fluid. But what's cool about it is that when you're playing, when you get the game, you get a physical ship with a pilot and stuff like that actually attaches to your controller. And so you're playing and you've actually got the thing in front of you like that. And what you can do is you get multiple weapons and stuff like that, other types of wings, other ships, other pilots and stuff like that. And on the fly, you can actually swap things out. So if you're fighting and there's you've got two fire guns, something like that, and you run into a bunch of fire enemies who you can't hit, you can switch to like the ice weapons, and then you can start doing double damage to them and stuff like that on the fly. And so it's a very cool concept. And one of the kind of neatest things about it for me was that it looks and feels a lot like the game Star Fox that was originally for the Nintendo 64 and the Super Nintendo and stuff like that.
Cool.
Who our dear friend Kevin is taking the moniker of.
Yeah.
And then we actually announced that we've actually been working with Nintendo and we put Star Fox into this game. And so you can play as Star Fox kind of going through all this. And that kind of segued into, oh man, I was going to say all this last week. And then I realized you don't know much about that.
Not
and
yet.
you've been asking questions about gaming.
Yeah.
So I mean, where have you landed on that? I know I posted something on your Facebook for a minute, but
Yeah, at the moment it has not really started yet because I don't have the means right now to actually afford one of those systems just yet. But I'm willing to go to people's houses and play and do that kind of thing. I just honestly haven't found the time. Like I really, want to do it just because I want to do it. But it's one of many different things that, I could or should be doing, and like it's probably not up there the things I have to be doing right now.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
It should always be a
Because I have a
free
feeling I'm
time.
going to get sucked into it. Like I have a feeling once I start, I'm just going to, like I do with most things, I just going to just dive right in, and
yes, and that's kind of my.
I saw whatever fucking Wing did. And
Yeah.
that was kind of fucking nuts, man. I don't know. Maybe I've been supposed to
think-
stay away from video games for a reason.
a lot of that was the competitive element to it too.
But isn't that what the case is with all games?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say there is. It's got a term. It's called gamification of stuff.
Okay.
And it's the like incremental improvement of things to kind of get you locked into that.
Okay.
So like for Everwing, for example,
Right.
As you went through and you went on more runs and you got more coins to buy more weapons to go farther in the runs and new characters and you got more experience and you leveled up. And then you're collecting all the, the eggs and trying to hatch them, and the hatches are random. So you're trying to get all those things. That is super, super like Skinner box gamification stuff right there, because there is incremental improvement. So it feels good to like be more powerful and stronger. And okay, if I'm just doing this, like that's going to get me there.
Like Mario Brothers, they hop on a mushroom, they get fucking powered up.
No, this is different than Mario Brothers. This
Okay.
is like if you hop on a mushroom and then you never got smaller again or something like that.
Oh.
It's like you're improving like your stats, your overall
Got it.
character there.
Got
and so
it.
every time you play, you get not just a little bit better because you're better at the game, but you get actual, experience points towards that.
Wow.
And you see that in different you see that in a lot of things now, because they've taken that from from the video game industry, and they've put it into a bunch of different stuff. And so you have things like Waze uses it now, where it's like, oh, if you have an achievement in it, drive 25 miles or report 10 things and stuff like that. And they give you a little flashy little thing.
So it's like
They
that
give you a little
fucking
badge.
Black Mirror fucking episode kind of coming true, right? Because if you have it's starting to integrate into like different aspects of life, like you're getting awarded and just like it's like yeah,
Which one?
The one with
the chick at the beginning of season 3 or something.
yeah, it was
Okay, the first one.
the first one from season 4
Mm-hmm.
or 3. I don't know because there's a lot now.
I forget the latest one.
No, it's the one before the latest one actually.
Oh.
There's a whole other season that came out since that season. We're
Wait.
talking about the one where they're on the phones and they rate each other, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Okay, yeah, that one.
that's either the third or the fourth season. I can't remember, but there's been a whole other season after that.
Oh.
Yeah, there's only it's
There
like
is?
really short though. Yeah,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I have not. Oh wait. I didn't know that. Shit.
yeah.
I did know that. My bad.
It's
Okay.
just kind of hard because it's not really sequential. It's just very like
I don't
they're
think I
all
watched it yet.
each
actually.
individual episode, so it's
the,
hard to
the
say
new
which one.
I only
came
watched the
first.
first one and I was like, yeah.
Oh really? Oh dude, you gotta watch at least like. See, wait, from which one?
The one with not Matt Damon. I call him Meth Damon because
Oh, yeah.
he was in Breaking Bad.
That was the last season.
that guy. That was the newest season.
Yes.
I watched that episode.
Okay.
And I didn't like it that much.
Okay.
And then I didn't watch the rest of them yet. But that's only kind of because I forgot.
Right.
It hasn't really been on my mind. Now that you actually reminded me, I'm probably going to go back and watch them now because I
Yeah.
do love that show.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're all right. The
Okay.
last one's kind of interesting too.
Okay.
I like it. Even if some of them may be like a little bit like whatever. It does totally remind me of just like a new version of the Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah, it totally is, and they do it well, man. But yeah, what I was saying. So gamification is like a thing that it kind of is designed to suck you in, and there's there's that incremental improvements plus random like drops,
Yeah.
like a percentage of things. So if there's just like this great weapon that I need for my character, and you're gonna keep finding chests, and you're gonna keep running through this thing every day with a chance to unlock this thing.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. Those two things together are it's it kind of encompasses like it scratches the itch in your brain that kind of also scratches like gambling and stuff like that. I don't know exactly all of the science behind it. I know they call it like the Skinner box, which is a term for a scientist who ran an experiment where he had they had mice, and the mice would press a lever and then they would get a treat, and then like every once in a while it would shock them or something like that, and they basically got them like that feedback response got them kind of addicted to pushing the lever, even if like the treat was coming like 1 in like 9.
So you're saying they designed it to be fucking super addicting?
I mean, that has become what they kind of are now. But I think knowing some of that behind it,
right,
and acknowledging that too, is helpful in curbing that stuff as well.
I don't know.
So
So
what I'm saying
I knew
is-
that it was fucked up what I was doing, and I still fucking kept going. And I was like, "No, fuck this."
Yeah.
Oh, no,
So
no,
saying
I
that,
do see what
that's
you're
my
saying.
warning to you
Yeah.
if you're really trying to get into this. But
Yeah.
the fact is that like, there's beautiful. I mean, it's the most time efficient hobby you can have, I would say. Money efficient, because if you think about it, like if you're spending, let's say you get a game, you spend $60 on it, and then you play it for 100 hours total over the course of like 3-4 months. That is less than $1 an hour for your thing. You go to a fucking movie, you pay $15 for an hour and a half. You go to a bar, you spend $50 in 3 hours and stuff like that. I'm just saying that is also, another way to think about it. It's a high upfront cost, and then, there's a long time where you can do that. And that being said, a lot of people, like myself included, I will play the same fucking game for years and just get really good at that game. I just really love that game. And so that value to me is always like,
Still
it's
more
very efficient.
expensive. It's still more expensive than just kicking it on the stoop with the case of hurricanes, though, with the boys.
I
the
would
girls.
say no.
No,
Because, if you're kicking on the stoop with the case of hurricanes, even if the case of hurricanes is $17, right?
oh, it is.
You're
I
kicking
thought
on-
it was like cheaper than that.
No.
Oh,
You're kicking on the stoop for $17. For how long? Not 17 hours, not a whole day.
that's true.
Maybe
That's true.
a handful of hours over, over a couple days and stuff like that. And that's, that's a finite thing. It is done once
Damn.
those are gone. You're playing a game, you can still go back and play games that you got years ago.
Stoop kids.
You
are
can
getting
put
robbed.
500 hours into it, You can play World of Warcraft like I did and play fucking thousands of hours into it.
Wow,
Yeah.
thousands of hours. So you were like the dude on South Park that just like.
How do you think I learned all this about the addiction of video games, and am very careful to warn people about this?
Wow.
Yeah, no, I am 8 years. I just got my 8-year chip sober from World of Warcraft. So I am.
Wait, is that
I'm
an
proud of
actual
that.
thing?
No, it's not.
Okay,
actual
I
thing.
was
just made
like,
that up.
what if they fucking actually have that, dude?
No, but they should though, because that shit gets addicting, man, for
I
real.
know, it just sounds funny though.
I
Like,
mean, you know me, I've done a bunch of shit, things that people get addicted to all the time. People, it's crazy, but like that is, video games for me have always
have
been
you
the thing
seen
that I have
it
the
legitimately ruin people's lives though?
most.
Other than the fact that, like, for them personally, they're just not sociable, like, and they kind of, like, just detach themselves from reality or whatever. But, like, the fact that it, like, actually gets them in trouble with work, marriages, relationships. I mean, I imagine there's obviously
Yeah,
fucking
that
things-
happens all the time.
Yeah, but, like, to, like, a devastating point usually, or is, like, it, like, kind of, I don't know. I'm just
That's a
wondering.
Good question.
I guess if it fucks you up, it fucks you up. Like,
I don't know.
and
Because
how-
it's not like, I'm not saying it's heroin or something like that.
Right.
It's the mental addiction, and
Yeah.
literally anything has the like capability of becoming mentally
Right.
addictive.
I'm just saying
And
if
it's
it like if it's mentally addicted to the point where it gets you, missing work, or you're like just not able to fucking function outside of it, you're just fucking up on your bills or whatever, then that's when it's problematic.
Yeah, and that definitely happens.
Yeah.
At what rate though?
Right.
I don't know.
Got it.
I can't think of anybody personally who like I know that has happened to, but I know that has happened.
Yeah.
I know it strains some things.
I think when
I mean, you can go down a YouTube hole of girlfriends breaking Xboxes. It's kind of fucking funny.
really.
Oh yeah, they're tired of getting ignored, and there's just tons of videos out there on YouTube of girls just like recording themselves, like taking the Xbox out to like the patio, taking a baseball bat and smashing it like Office Space.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. You want to kill an afternoon? Go ahead and do that.
Wow. Interesting. So you suggest Xbox though, then, right?
I like it personally, but you know, a lot of us bought into a system. You know,
It's so
almost
crazy
a decade
though
ago.
how it's like fucking
now
so
you're-
political
You're
in that sense.
ecosystem, and you kind of don't really you get a feel for it. Like there are certain things that like when I sit down to play PlayStation, like it just doesn't.
It's like
translate
Apple
all
or
the way.
Android, you know?
Yeah,
And
in that like an iPhone is I mean they're functionally super similar, but like you know it just feels different. Things are just in a slightly different place. It doesn't feel right in your hands.
it's
you
very
know?
distinguishable.
There's a certain amount of like muscle memory that comes with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To where even and it's great. Like, you know, for example, I'm playing a game on my laptop here. And you see this laptop, it's kind of simple. It's got, you know, light keys. I've got this mouse right here. It looks almost exactly the same as this computer over here behind me, which has a mechanical keyboard and kind of a heavier mouse and stuff like that with a little more buttons. It is starkly different how
yeah.
good I am on this laptop versus that desktop.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be like so much more, for some reason, more efficient on that one,
on the laptop.
on the computer.
Oh yeah, no. I'm saying I am so much better on the computer
Oh.
than I am on this laptop.
Got it. I thought you said it
I
the
was
other way around,
playing
but-
literally from today and yesterday. I was playing a game yesterday called For Honor. It's like a kind of like a fighting game, a hybrid fighting game. I was going consistently like 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Like I was just doing not bad. Or I was doing bad, like finishing, either last on my team or second to last, stuff like that. Like after a few rounds yesterday on this laptop, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. And then I ended up, I fixed this computer yesterday. I spent a long time kind of fixing it, getting it back up and running. I put it for a little bit today. I was going like 9 and 1, like 10 and 2 and stuff like that. Like it was just crazy how different it is, how much better I am on that thing. And it's just the muscle memory and the feel,
Right.
when it comes down to fractions of a second and reaction time and things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that to really pull it off. And I'm talking, high level play on a lot of these games. It's, that makes a huge difference. And so jumping from Xbox to PlayStation even, that can fuck you up. That
Yeah.
can fuck you up big time,
It's so weird because it's always been that way with PlayStation versus N64, or they've always had very different things. When Xbox actually came into play, I was just like, I didn't play video games at all.
Yeah.
And that's how far back it goes.
Yeah.
But I've kind of noticed that since I've been investigating this, it's definitely like split down the middle. You get a lot of people that are, centrists. They're like, it depends what you want. I get very, because they're like you, like they play everything, like you guys like have it all, But most people, I think, kind of like they either can afford or like dedicate enough time to like one system, and they're like, okay, we're invested in this game. So I got half of my friends telling me, get an Xbox, we'll play this game, this game, and then everybody's like, no, fuck that, PlayStation 4, get it, it's way better. It's just crazy, it almost fights, for people.
Oh yeah,
like whoa.
No, they've done a great job at making it like it is entrenched here. Now I am.
It's like Del Taco versus Taco Bell.
Exactly, and I am firmly on Team Xbox, which is also Team PC, which is what I actually do. Is I just play on my computer and stuff like that. So those are kind of separate from all of those. But yeah, no, between them, I mean, they're really the specs are slightly different. The hardware capabilities and things like that you can do, but they are almost the same. They're offering basically the same thing, and a lot of it comes down to people will tell you, it comes down to exclusives or like how good the network is and shit like that. But really, it's just...
What's the oldest one? Is it Nintendo and Sega?
I would say Nintendo. Yeah. Well, I mean, like Atari and stuff like that.
But Atari was kind of like alone. It stood alone, right? By itself. And
I think they're still actually publishing games, just not hardware.
No, I'm saying like back then though, like they kind of were, when they first came out, they were literally like the first and only thing, and then Nintendo came out and kind of just like swept them to the side, and then not that long after that, Sega came out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a totally different feel. Like you're right. Like
I mean, it was
between
like
Mario Brothers or Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's like
It's like
Atari, Commodore 64, Nintendo. And then was it Super Nintendo, Sega, Genesis?
So there was
and,
Nintendo, Super Nintendo,
Dreamcast.
Sega, Genesis, Sega Dreamcast, no, Sega
Which-
Saturn.
Oh, you're right.
Sega Saturn, and then
Saturn.
Sega Dreamcast.
No, Saturn was the answer to Super Nintendo, and then
Nintendo
N64 was the answer, Dreamcast was the answer to N64, I think, if I'm remembering my history
Yeah,
right. I might
Dreamcast
have
was
them
the answer to
backwards.
N64.
And
And
then
PlayStation came out right around the time alone that N64 was coming out, because we were supposed to get an N64. That's what we wanted. We wanted to play Mario. We were like, this is crazy, you know, look,
Yeah.
all 3D.
Oh,
but
yeah.
my parents, after doing their research or having their friends like you know, where techies tell them like, no, trust me, you're gonna want to get them PlayStation. It's definitely gonna be better and get more, you know, like be the game thing. And so like that's what they got. We're like pissed off at first,
Yeah.
but then you're playing like Tekken 3 and shit, and you're just like, oh no, this is dope. This is, you know, you can do a lot with PlayStation.
Yeah, and then after that, then Microsoft entered the you know, Player 3 entered. You had Microsoft going on there, and then it's pretty much held there since then. You got Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft all competing kind of for the same, you know, hardware market. And then a lot of them backed off, started making software, stuff like that, and then that was pretty much it. Nobody else has really tried to compete with them aside from Valve has. So they made a Steam box, which is like it's like a system. It's like a tiny computer, and you can play Steam games, that's like one of the main clients that people use to play video games on their computer, and you can buy things from there. And that's what I was telling you before. Those games are a lot cheaper than like what you'd get at the store and stuff like that. And so they had that, but I don't think it really caught fire.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't really heard much about it in the last couple of years, and so I'm guessing it kind of died out because I mean, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are all killing it right now. You know?
So Nintendo's doing the Switch and the Wii still.
Well, I mean, they had the Wii. Like, the Wii was their big revival.
Right.
You know, and things were great for them. And then they had the Wii U, which was a complete dud. That did not go well.
Uh-huh.
And then they had the Switch.
Oh, and they also used to have Nintendo GameCube too, right?
Yeah, the GameCube did all right. You know, kept them in the game. They were still doing it. But I think that was, you know, during the GameCube era was when Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 kind of overtook them. Or no, wait. No, that would have been PS2 and Xbox regular. Yeah. And now you've got the Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And I think the Switch is highly, highly competitive. And they found a really great niche in people who are not hardcore. You know?
That it seems like that'd be more my thing,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I do want to like get into like, you know, shooter games and stuff just to see like, just to know how to maneuver things, you know, to figure like, because it's so foreign to me. It's like, what is this?
Well, there's so many benefits to it. You know, even just picking up any game and learning it. There's certain problem solving skills and other like ideas that really just entrench themselves into your mind without you even kind of realizing
Absolutely.
it too.
I feel like I'm illiterate. Like I'm a kid that didn't learn how to read. You know, like I did. It's like, do you know how to read,
Yeah.
boys? Like, do you know how to game? No, I never learned. So, Paul never taught me. That's kind of what I feel like.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they teach skills that translate well too. You know,
Yeah.
and because I've given this lecture so many times, people who are like, "Oh, video games are, you know, they rot your brain, stuff like that," just like they said about movies and TV and stuff like that. It's like, no, you can actually learn from stuff.
It's crazy. I was watching that Masters of the Universe documentary on, was it Netflix the other day?
Yeah, I
so
think
there's,
that's
like-
where I saw it. What is that? Because I think He-Man when I see that.
Yeah, Masters
it is
of the
He-Man.
Universe
Okay.
is He-Man. So actually, I mean, I started getting kind of like the history about it a little bit before this documentary. It was with the Toys That Made Us documentary, or the series, where they went into the whole Masters of the Universe toy series, which that's what it started off as. You know, we all know it as, you know, a cartoon or a really shitty movie with Dolph Lundgren.
Yes, no, that was
That-
one of the greats.
One of the great shitty ones.
Oh man,
And so that's what we remember it as.
Courtney
but-
Cox's best work, in my opinion.
but yeah, you just, you know, you totally like remember being a kid and just do, by the power of Grayskull, you know,
Yeah.
I have the power. You know,
Yes.
I specifically remember doing that and getting really embarrassed because like I didn't think anybody was around. I was like out in my grandpa's front yard and I jumped on this ledge and I put up this fucking stick and it's like, I have the power. And these like
We all did.
older kids were walking by and I like saw
Oh,
them.
God,
They were
damn it.
looking at me like, what the fuck? You know, they were like the cool like first or second graders or some shit. I was like preschool.
Not the first and second.
I
graders.
know, dude. And so I like fucking just like
Damn.
went and ran away. But anyway, they were toys first, and they were actually Mattel's way of getting back. Because Mattel, I don't know if you knew this about the company, the toy company. it was just as competitive. Like, you know, we're talking about competition between different
Mattel
maker-
and Hasbro.
yeah, and so
Oh, dude,
and,
okay, I got a story after this.
and different ones, you know, and so that's the Star Wars thing, you know. So like Mattel passed up on it, you know, and they blew their fucking chance, and then they went with this other company, and so like they were just getting, you know, they were just getting beat out, so they had to come up with something cool, and then they ended up going with Masters of the Universe. They started, you know, designing Masters of the Universe, and they came up with some fucking sick toys that kids could relate to, and they were just winging it the whole time. They were just fucking winging it, and they, you know, definitely like went into this other documentary about just about everything. But
so
yeah.
that was that documentary's about that stuff.
So that was the toys that made us, and then the documentary I'm talking about was, I think it was just called Grayskull, and it's basically about He-Man from the beginning to end, you know, like its entire existence. And as I said, it started off with the toys, and then from the toys, they, you know, were creating basically these cartoons from them. So they had all this art, and I started off with the commercials. And the whole reason why I started talking about this was about how controlled television programming was for kids back then. There used to be a lot more restrictions on like what people could watch, and I guess they had decided, and by they, don't quote me on who it was, I'm not exactly sure, but the people in charge were the ones saying that kids could watch certain things and not certain things. There had to be some sort of educational lesson, which is why you would hear in Masters of the Universe, you'll hear like a really cheesy like side thing where they'll break away and be like, "All right, kids, yeah, Skeletor's, you know, the reason why he's feeling sick is because he's not eating his vegetables. So make sure to eat your vegetables." I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it would be something stupid like that, you know? And that's what they were allowed to play and to teach, you know, used to teach kids. So it had to be somewhat educational. And then they realized that they were using the cartoons in ads. And so that's what, like, they were realizing how subliminally I mean, it's not really that subliminally, like how we were just so drawn into all of these things. And I mean, think about it. Like, our parents never fucking had toys the way we had toys. Like, kids today don't even have toys the way we had toys. They have like electronic gadgets and shit. We had I mean, they still have them around, but we had like, I was a toy fanatic. Like, I fucking love toys, and we had the best toys. Our era, like, you know, even at fucking fast food.
So many fucking Ninja Turtles, dude.
Yeah, at fast food restaurants, you know, like back then, the like Batman like toys you get with your Happy Meal, those were legit. Like the ones you get now, it's like, what the fuck is this? Literally chunk of plastic just painted like different colors. Like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid. I get it. Kids aren't really interested in that stuff anymore, you know? But like, it was just something that's our era. And so the Masters of the Universe thing, I definitely recommend you go watch it still.
I was just commenting the other day that I you know, we got YouTube TV. We were trying that out and trying out Hulu TV because football season's back. So we're just siphoning through all our email accounts and getting the free week trials and shit like that. So I've actually seen like full on commercials from live TV again for the first time in a while, and I am struck by how toy commercials have not changed at all.
Right.
They're the same. Like, they look like they could have came
changed.
right out of the 90s.
The products changed, but the style, the tacky style, to just get your attention.
Just
hey,
like,
kids,
whoa,
yeah, whoa, what's going on, bro? Like, no way. Or like a little like
whoa,
My Little Pony type
raptors.
song, you know, like for girls, like, yay, like do, like all just
all
fucking...
the boy commercials are just pictures of like little girls being like, the toys are too scary.
Creepy crawlers.
Like,
do you remember that shit?
Oh,
Creepy crawlers. Those were fucking cool.
All kinds of choking hazards.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, those are the best.
Wait, you would actually put those
No,
down?
I wouldn't actually fucking do those.
I mean, if they were choking on them, there's, you know, they probably should be.
That's called natural selection. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off on all these side tangents over here about toys and comics and actually, that's what this whole podcast episode was.
I mean, yeah.
This is the nerd episode.
That's kind of essentially it. I'm going to refer back to my handy dandy list that I came here to talk about because, yeah, you know, that's just reminded me of some shit that I, you know, can speak on, which is you're driving up to San Francisco. I just did that the other day in a fucking Penske rental truck to transport a dune buggy up there. And God, that was a fucking pain in the ass, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah.
Should have rode the dune buggy instead.
That's what I wanted to do. I actually looked it up, and then I was like, "Oh no, that's not street legal." I was like, "Fuck."
Really?
Yeah.
It's not. I always wondered that because there's certain cars that I see out there. I'm like, how is that street legal? unless it's not, and they're just like
They're probably just going for it.
yeah, thug life in it. Oh God, I love that.
No, it was intense because I've never driven anything like really bigger than my car before, which is, you know, a little 4-door sedan, little
okay.
thing. And before that, my car
It's a
was
very
smaller.
daunting experience. Your
Yeah,
first time around. Especially parking lots in tight, like in San Francisco, fuck, in big hills,
Yeah.
fuck, oh man,
Yeah, dude,
oh,
going up the
fuck.
Grapevine in a 16-foot Penske rental truck with a 3,000 pound cargo. I'm just like, all right, this is cool.
And just the city though, you know,
Yeah.
the city itself, like
Oh,
I
that was
had
a
to
fucking
drive.
nightmare getting in and out, and
Yeah.
like getting that thing unloaded, like because it's like I had to go through an alley to like get to the place where it needed to go, and that was just. It was
Especially
crazy,
if
man.
you're not like really like technically trained to do that sort of thing, which is been my experience. Like my training was just fucking doing it. Like, you know, they
Yeah.
just like my company's just like, hey, like we need you to drive this truck. It's like didn't even really like, okay, will you drive? Yeah, but didn't really like ask like, how do you like, not even the question of like, do you feel comfortable driving a 20-foot fucking truck with like, you know, no, you can't see in back of you, like. Just that's what you're taking to New Mexico. Go like, okay, cool. You know,
Jesus.
like, yeah. All right.
It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, you know, because it kind of made me nervous as like everything was kind of piling up and getting that crazy. But yeah, man, that shit was intense.
Yeah.
I probably would not recommend it to somebody as their first trip
Probably
to
not.
go up there because
No.
it took me I left just because there's a bunch of shit that happened in between, but I left the house at 10:30 and I opened the door to my hotel room at midnight.
So a good solid 14 or 12 hours.
Yeah, it was a good like 13 hours.
14 hours.
Yeah, probably a day.
Wow. And you took the Grapevine, you said, and you took it all the way through. the
Yeah,
other
pretty much
side.
all the way through up to the
Okay.
something. I don't know. Never been a fan of that drive. Not
Yeah.
trying to do it again anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going up. I'm only gonna go as far as Monterey. Well, no, I thought about it. I was like, maybe I'll go to Santa Cruz, but who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. You know, we'll see where the wind takes me. And speaking of which, it sounds like it's about that time
Is it about that
for
time?
me to get going, hitting the road.
All right. Oh yeah, you got to hit it if you're gonna beat any of that traffic up there.
I'm
'Cause
not
trust
gonna-
me, I got stuck in the stop and start all the way through the Grapevine. So I was crawling through that thing like 2 miles an hour.
Oh yeah,
Which is less.
it's
fun.
gonna be brutal.
Yeah.
Like I'm just hoping to get as far out as the valley, at least before it really hits. Because I know I'm not
If
gonna
you
get past
if you can
that.
get past LA, like you're pretty
I'm
much-
gonna hit traffic in the valley. I probably won't get out of the valley till like at least like 5. Like that's what's gonna happen. But at least I'll have beat most of this 405 shit all the way up to there, like to the 101.
All right.
So yeah. Well, anyways,
Let's get it going.
let's
Do
get
your
it going.
thing.
You know what? What else do we have going on? Anything going on this week? Anything to tell anybody?
No. Well, I just got back from a really good rally yesterday with the HB Huddle, which is a good local group that is very politically active and stuff like that. And we had Harley Ruda, who I've talked about a lot on this show.
Yeah.
He was actually there, so he gave a big speech to the few hundred of us that were at this rally just down the street here in Huntington Beach. And then also Lieutenant Governor, hopefully future Governor Gavin Newsom, who's running, who I think is expected to win, who I also heartily endorse with everything. And he went out there and spoke too, as well as other superstars in the party, which, unless you're a huge nerd about politics, just like I am about comics and everything like that, Ted Lieu was out there as well. So it was a very cool experience. So if you guys are local, check out HB Huddle. And I will, of course, be talking way more about that as we get closer to the election, which is only like 50 days away. We've only got like 3 or 4 shows until then. So I'm about to start ramping this shit up a little bit.
Ramp it up.
Yes, sir. And you?
Well, just Art in the Park is going to be on the 30th of this month. It's going to be same day as Base Waffles, so we'll be able to do both of those. Be sure to check us out. Come by. This theme is going to be signs. We're going to be making signs. The flyer has not been done yet because, as you know, I'm doing this all by myself.
That
and
is
it's busy.
ironic. I like that.
The flyer, the sign for the
sign for the
sign,
show.
because I haven't figured out the right design for the sign. But anyway, that is going to be the theme. So it's also a way for you to come and create something that you might be on your mind politically. So you could take to one of these rallies, and that you can take to a protest. So get creative, have fun with it, and come out and let's make it together. So that's going to be on the 30th. Anything else? Otherwise, otherwise, just nothing else. Just follow me at on Instagram at Hoodrat Stuff with 3 Fs or Psychedelic Lions Den, psychedelic_lions_den.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Nobody Cares. Flip that around. Nobody Cares Phil on Instagram. And you guys better go ahead and follow the show. That is at Let It Bleed Cast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And make sure you subscribe to it wherever you get your podcasts, including and especially Spotify. That's just such an easy one for people, especially people who don't know. So send that link to your, to your mailman, Bill. He only uses Spotify, which is weird. He refuses to learn new things. He's kind of set in his old ways. That's okay, though. That's Bill. That's kind of why we love him. So make sure you send Bill a link to this exact episode.
Yes.
Because now he knows, hey, we're talking about him. So
shout
out to Bill. Shout out to Bill. Woo!
What's up, Bill? All right, guys. I'm going to hit the road right now. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, let it bleed.